How's it going, guys? So, you might be asking yourselves, where's the SmackDown review from last week? Where's the SmackDown review for this week? There's not going to be a SmackDown review. I'm going to tell you honestly, I was going to do the review last week, and I started watching the videos so I could start putting together my opinion on the show. I started watching, a few of the clips with Bray Wyatt and The Miz and, the little, Fiend doll. And then I got a few matches in, and then I got to, one of those throwaway matches. And I was just, think with Heavy Machinery or something. And I just, said to myself, why am I watching this? I was even thinking, what am I even going to say in the video? I'm bored senseless. I don't want to watch this. So you know what I did? I didn't watch it. And instead, I worked on a great Pokemon Sword and Shield video. I figured, you know what? Let me take this time and edit up the Pokemon video, the game review that I want to get out, because I enjoy doing that more. I rather spend time editing that video, which is very tedious, but so if you haven't seen that, I would suggest that you go watch it if you're into that sort of thing. But anyway, for this week, I figured, you know what? I am going to be taking a little bit of a break from the reviews. I don't know. It's just so boring, but I figured, why not go back to Dynamite? It's been a while. I looked on my channel. The last Dynamite review I did was the one right before the last pay-per-view. That was the one right before the whatever that pay-per-view was with Omega and Moxley, right? So I figured, you know what? Let's that was episode 6, so now it's episode 12. So now the episodes have now doubled since we reviewed it last. So is the show any better? Well, I've been following the show through a good social media friend of mine, Burying the Smarks, which is a great Instagram account. He's also doing some podcasts, so go check that out. I follow him. He follows me on Instagram. He helped promote this very channel on his Instagram account, and I'm appreciative of that. If you take the time to show my videos off, to show me off as a personality, I'm gonna be indebted to you for that. So, go watch his channel. But it's a hilarious account. He trolls the AEW fans like no other. And he really gets them hot under the collar, and it's hilarious to see their reactions. So anyway, let's talk about this AEW Dynamite episode. The other reason why I had to review this show over SmackDown is because there's just more to talk about on this show. And it's horrible. This is such a bad show, such a horribly overrated show. And there's a few things about this show, this particular episode of Dynamite, that made it particularly interesting to me. First of all, Burying the Smarks was making me laugh about the last segment, and we're going to get to that in a moment. So hang around and watch the rest of the video so you don't miss when I talk about that. The other thing was, we started talking about Brandi Rhodes. And there was just so much cringy stuff going on in the show, I couldn't resist. And the other thing was that this show got beat out by NXT, another bad show. And many people have been saying, AEW better than NXT and everything, that NXT is the wannabe AEW. But now it's been quite a few weeks now. And we're talking about AEW, competing with Raw and SmackDown. They can't even beat NXT. They can't even beat the developmental show. That's how bad it is. See, because that's what WWE did. They made a joke out of them. They put NXT, they took it off the network and put it on USA so they could have a show to embarrass AEW. And they succeeded. They succeeded in doing that. Anyway, so let's talk about this episode of Dynamite. So let's start from the beginning. So we go right to a match. We've got the Lucha Brothers defeating Kenny Omega and Adam Page. I was almost thinking Cole. I almost said that, but no, this is Adam Page. Anyway, it's like it's so amazing that you could not watch for like how long has it been now? Has it been almost like maybe about it'll be a week and a half, right? Like 6 episodes I haven't watched, or 5 technically, I guess, right? So it is really funny that you could come back and you could watch the same match. And I love that, like, JR, like lost track of the time, and he's like, oh, like, then he kind of realized it was kind of like focusing too much on the time, so he should probably, pad that a little bit and say, like, oh, well, more time to enjoy the match. When all it is a bunch of spots, there's no selling, it's more terrible high spot wrestling. And like I said, when this used to be a unique style, I actually liked it. I actually appreciated it when it was in Ring of Honor. Like I said, I used to go to see the shows. And I was like, oh, this is a fun alternative style. But now that you've got these guys doing it every single match, it's really, really tiresome. Because first of all, like, people think this is the future of wrestling. This is stuff they've been doing for like decades now on the indies. No selling, high spots, big moves every match. You see these moves and you just sit there. Back in the day, if someone did that move on Raw or pay-per-view, like, you went, wow, like, that's a big move, that's exciting, like, that came out of nowhere. Now it's like you kind of expect these things, so now the moves don't mean anything. They're just interchangeable moves. Wow, moves. It's like now you kind of hope that they like at least throw a little bit of, like, punches or chops in there. Now it's like right to the moves. They don't even like take a breather or anything. It really makes you appreciate pacing, in a match. Like, go back and watch anything from WWE or WCW, like from 98, 99, 2000, and you'll see just how much more you appreciate those matches, how they're so much better paced, that they're, they got this nice flow to them and everything, and, you don't get anymore. There's no flow. All you get is a bunch of moves thrown together to see how many moves you can put. It's almost like a contest. Which wrestler could put as many moves into a match and make those moves be as meaningless as possible. Then at the end, you get some tension between Omega and Page because Omega lost. Like, first of all, like, Omega was in Bullet Club, right, when he was in New Japan. So I guess he was in the faction, but he was always known for being like a singles wrestler. So now I've been watching this guy, and all I am seeing is him being a tag team wrestler. And not only that, he's been losing, and he's not the big star. Like, isn't this guy the vice president? I don't know if he's, like, losing on purpose. One of the vice presidents. Is he losing on purpose because, he wants to make it, like, even, like Cody Rhodes, like, hey, we're in charge here, but, we're not going to be like Triple H and, book ourselves to win. But, like, Kenny Omega is actually a guy that, like, was over in Japan. Like, people actually really I think more people really liked Kenny Omega than Cody Rhodes. But I gotta say, this is one of the most overrated wrestlers I have ever seen. But let me finish my first thought. This guy, like, they promote him as being something big and everything. He's in AEW and he really hasn't done anything. He lost the lights out match to Moxley, and that's about it. That's been his biggest moment. He came out dressed as Sans from Undertale. That's maybe the second biggest thing I remember about him. Him coming out to Megalovania, which was in the same moment. Okay, and it's not even related to really, like, him as a character. And based off of that, what is his character? What is this with Kenny Omega? Why is he so great? Because he does stiff knee strikes? because he slaps his knee as he delivers a knee? Is that what's the big appeal about Kenny Omega? I look at Kenny Omega, and I don't know. I see a guy with like curly hair that does a lot of knee strikes, and I don't know. He's like, he's acrobatic, but he's not doing as many thrilling moves as like the Lucha brothers or the Young Bucks. So in a way, like, even though the guy is like all spotty and he's a spot fest guy, he's like not as good as those guys because he's not doing as many moves. So you see what I'm saying? It's like he's been exposed as being really overrated because it's not like he does anything great. He does this, wow, before he does a move. Whoa, character development. Like, are you like, can someone just in like a small paragraph or something, or just a sentence or anything, explain to me why Kenny Omega is special? Why so many, fans and smarks and marks go gaga over this guy? Because I just can't put my finger on it. Just can't figure out what's so special about Kenny Omega. Because I don't see anything great about this guy. Like, and I don't even see them giving him any time to cut any promos. The few times he has cut promos, it's nothing great. He doesn't have a character. He's another guy where his character is like what Seth Rollins said a few years ago. I don't need a character, guys, because being a good wrestler is my character. That is BS. That is BS to the umpteenth power. You can't just keep saying that. You're a good wrestler and that is your character. I've said it time and time again. There's been guys that don't have a big overblown gimmick, but they still had some semblance of you knowing what they are. There was something to differentiate them from the crowd. With Kenny Omega, I see no differentiation. I see nothing special about this guy that sets him apart from the rest of the pack. There's nothing there with Omega. And I've tried. Is there something I'm not seeing? Let me look at it from this angle. Let me look at it. No, he's just, it's basically more hype. More of like everything, more like Finn Balor hype, more of that same stuff where, this guy's one of the best in the world, and then we see him and he's anything but. So let's go on to the next thing. We've got Cody Rhodes and Darby Allen defeating the Butcher and Blade. And Darby Allen, they're still... they're still with this guy. He looks like nothing. He paints his face. He rides a skateboard to the ring. And, I'm looking in this match. And I see the Butcher. And to me, this guy is standing out more than Cody Rhodes. He's standing out more than Darby Allen. He's standing out, first his tag partner is looks like a plain dude. Looks like everyone else on this ride. That's another thing. I have to say, all these guys, they look the same. There's these are plain faces. No one looks... So, when I see a guy that looks like Butcher, this guy looks like a tough wrestler. This guy reminded me of, a Stan Hansen. This guy reminded me of, just like an old-fashioned, tough guy wrestler. Maybe someone you would have seen back in the old school NWA. And I like that about this guy. But of course, he's just, in a random throwaway tag team that we don't even know. Butcher and Blade. Even the name just, is forgettable. But, this guy, I like the mustache. I like just... I like the tattoos. I like with this guy because he looked like a butcher. He looked like he could hurt someone. He definitely looked like he could tear somebody like Darby Allen apart. But there's Darby Allen doing this ridiculous, trustful move on the apron. Some ridiculous move where one day he's going to seriously injure himself because he's falling backwards like a goofball. Can't even see where he's going. And he's falling onto this guy. This guy should be ripping his head off. He's massive. He's huge. He's wide. He looks like a monster. He is a monster, but he's not being treated as one because this is a company that, of course, if they pushed a guy like Butcher, the fans would say, he's just another big guy. So people are going to complain about that. So remember, we're catering to the mark, so we can't have that. So why even have him on the roster? You're going to get a guy that looks tough like that just to beat him, get beat up by Darby Allen by some ridiculous looking move. And this whole move, the whole match, what are the stakes? So Darby Allen could get a rematch for a match in June. They had a match in June before Dynamite even came on there. They're saying, Fight Fest or whatever it was called. That no one even knows what they're talking about, because this is a pay-per-view that happened even before Dynamite came on the air. How about they tell us what this Fire Fest thing was? Nope, they're not going to. It's just some show. So you have no idea about the history of Cody Rhodes and Darby Allen. And why does Darby Allen need to prove himself to Cody Rhodes so much? Instead of wanting a title or something like that, or having some type of goal or some reason to even exist, he's just some guy who paints his face, who's on a skateboard. That's just another reject goth character. How many? Okay, let me hold my opinion here for a minute, because I've got quite a bit to say here. And I don't want to overexert myself here, because we got to save some material for later on the review. Because we're going to be talking about a few. We're going to be talking about a lot of goth characters on this show. This is they should rename it GEW for Goth Elite Wrestling or something like that. It's ridiculous, just how many people not only look the same, but act the same. And when there are characters, they're the same exact characters. There's so many different possibilities for characters. Look back during the Attitude Era. Look back during the 80s. There's so many opportunities for characters. And you're going to, the only thing is, hey, Tony Khan. Hey, Cody. Hey, Kenny. Hey, Bucks. Yes? Hey, what are your ideas for characters? Gots! Yeah, you got anything else? Gots! Yeah, okay, you already said Gots. Do you have any other characters in mind that maybe you would want your roster to portray? Gots! Okay, I think it's settled. I think you guys are just going to make everyone's character gothic. Yeah! Okay, so it's settled. I guess you're going to make all the characters on the roster goths, and that's exactly what it is. It's goths and nothing more. Everyone else is a great wrestler. So you got great wrestlers and goths. So it's a great diverse show, just as Cody Rhodes promised us. So that's just fantastic. So the match that's on so you got, that was what was on the line here. Darby Allen is wrestling a tag match so he could have a single match against Cody Rhodes, who doesn't even have a title. So there's nothing on the line, just honor and dignity. Wow, what stakes those are. These intangible things. Who cares? Honestly. You just got some goofball who paints his face and rides a skateboard, and again, it's another Raven reject, another goth reject character. That's not even cool. Not someone you're wow, this guy's awesome. Well, some people are. I'm looking at the comments on the AEW YouTube, and people are all over this guy. He's just great. So then we get Awesome Kong, and she has this match, and of course, before she has her match, we gotta get some cringe Brandi Rhodes, who, guess what her character is? She's a goth. Whoa! Wow! So it's back to back of the same character, but at least there's a promo here, so there's some sort of character development. Brandi Rhodes is just the most unlikable person. I thought that maybe Stephanie McMahon was dislikable, but this girl, if you go and you read her Twitter and everything, at least Stephanie McMahon is she's just all about the money, and she's just uncool, but it's basically just about running the company. So she has some semblance of knowing what she's doing. She's just very dislikable. But Brandi Rhodes is like, she's actually trying to get in on the show, like, trying to play like a character with depth. But there's no depth there because this is Brandi Rhodes. There's nothing there. You're trying to make, what was she? I forget, was she a ring announcer, a backstage interview? She was a nobody, basically. Now, Brandi Rhodes, I'm not going to lie, she's a very attractive girl. But that is all she's got going for her. You want to talk about like just another pretty face. That's all she has. She brings looks to the table, but you notice that like she is like giving herself mic time. Don't give mic time to any of these other people on the roster, but the wife of the vice president, she gets the mic time. She gets to develop a character. That seems very fair to me. Everyone else just wrestles nonstop. And you know what I mean? Like, we kick off the night and we've got a 20-minute match. That's excessive. It's like, and the ratings are falling. They're just like, well, people still want to see wrestling. No, they're turning it off in droves. They don't want to just see wrestling. They want to see more than that. Then you got the Cody Darby match. That's really long. And then you come to this and like, okay, so we get this promo and everything, all this nonsense that Brandi's talking about. She's talking about trying to recruit Chris Stantler later on the night, and we'll talk about that match too. So she, Awesome Kong has this like 1-minute squash match with this fake Ember Moon looking girl with the bright red hair. She just power slams her down, beats her. Whatever it was. I don't even think she did the implant buster. Maybe she did. I don't know. I really didn't even care. I was like watching it. I literally was watching it. Like, I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't doing anything else on the computer. I was watching it, but like, I didn't even know like what happened. I just know she got pinned. I don't know by what move because like I just totally disengaged mentally from it. That's how like much this show just sucks. Yeah, okay, so like after that, they like clip her hair and they've got this whole thing of like hair from like different wrestlers that she's beaten. So I haven't seen like who that hair belongs to. I would assume other jobbers on the roster. It's really funny that like there's jobbers like on the roster when like a lot of the main roster also look like jobbers. I think I said that already in a past review, but it's been a few weeks since I said it. A few months since I said it, so it bears repeating, people. So, JR is like, are we ever going to know what this symbolizes? Judging by the way they run the show, probably not. We'll probably never find out why they're clipping people's hair. And wait, is that like why they did the Fiend thing with like Daniel Bryan tearing out his hair because of this thing? I don't know. Who cares anyway? So we get a sit down interview with Jungle Boy, and I did not know that this was Luke Perry's son. Like, really? Like, wow. Okay, well, that's a cool little factoid. But this guy has a really like this. I don't know if he was high or he took some really heavy drugs or something before this interview, but I mean, he was just, the dude seemed sedated. He was like all laid back. I mean, he did something before this interview because he was like just up in the clouds, man. I mean, this guy was not totally there. Anyway, this guy is going to try to hang 10 minutes with Chris Jericho. Nothing's even on the line. It's just like a challenge or something like that he just has to last 10 minutes with him. So they have a 10-minute match. Jericho is beating this guy down. He's got him in the walls of Jericho for like 90 seconds. And like, once again, speaking of Darby Allen, I complained about this with Darby Allen when Jericho had the match with him. He beat Darby Allen by the skin of his teeth. That little nothing guy, that little like vanilla midget, he had a hard time beating him. And I complained about that. I said how this makes Jericho look as a champion. How this is bad booking. This is bad storytelling. This is bad for the character of Chris Jericho. The super ego, super self-absorbed heel champion, the best character they have on the show because he's the most experienced. He's a great talent, Chris Jericho. But he should not be put in a position to look like this. I could see if maybe you want to do this with one of your bigger stars, like with Moxley, who he's going to wrestle. But no, don't save that almost beating Jericho type of thing for Moxley. Or in the case of Darby Allen, for Cody Rhodes, for the big stars. Let the jobbers, this guy Jungle Boy, who hasn't even won the single match, they have him take Jericho to the limit. So he lasts the 10 minutes, and he doesn't tap out. He's got him in his finishing move for 90 seconds. This guy who's never won a match, this skinny nothing guy, and he's not tapping out. Completely kills Jericho's finisher, kills his credibility as a champion, kills him as a character, kills him as being a dominant force and the leader of the most dominant faction in AEW. So they could put this schmuck over who's a nobody, who will never be anybody. And, now they're trying to sell the fact because they know that this guy's got nothing, that he's the son of a famous actor. It's true, they're not making it up, but I'm saying, now they have to say it because they realize, we got to do anything we can to give this guy credibility. Oh, he's the son of that guy? Make sure we say it 1,000 times. And that's exactly what they do. And yeah, by all means, whatever you got to do to get somebody over, whatever it does to let a guy get a payday, I'm not against that, but at the expense of Chris Jericho, you'll sacrifice your biggest star in the company for this guy? So he begs for 5 more minutes. He begs the ring announcer, Justin Roberts, for 5 more minutes with Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy gets a near fall on him, and not only that, it was a really sloppy count by that female referee because it's another one where she's holding her hand up like this. Somehow some magical force, Baby Yoda's maybe somewhere in the crowd doing, force pull, stopping the referee's hand for going down for the 3. This type of nonsense, this amateur hour stuff. And then Jericho kicks out like some delayed garbage. I don't even know what happened there. And then, Jericho just bails out. So now he can't beat Jungle Boy. You could say whatever you want, that there wasn't a real decision in this match, that this protects Jericho, it makes Jungle Boy look good. Why are we focused on making Jungle Boy look good? Why do we care about this guy? Why are they not putting over Luchasaurus, the guy who's big, who wears a Lucha mask, who could do the high-flying moves that the little guys do? Don't put that guy over who's interesting. Put this guy over who looks like nothing. At the expense of Chris Jericho, of all people. And before the match, they do cue cards, because they know during the commercials that no one could hear them. So they make a joke about this. Hey guys, we have lousy production. Let's make fun of ourselves. Great. This is just such a great professional show. I mean, notice this: professional wressling. This should really be called amateur wrestling, because that's what I'm watching. I'm watching a show where no one knows what they're doing. It's no holds barred, but in the very worst way. It's like no one has any idea how to run a company, how to run a TV show, how a TV show's supposed to work. At least with WWE, there's some sense of order. It may suck, but it's better than this. It is. It's a lot better than this. And to say that WWE is better than this when they're as bad as they are, that's really saying something. And it ain't like me exaggerating. Just watch the show. Just look how it unfolds. It's so bad. I mean, Chris Stantler, that's a girl, by the way, beats Britt Baker, the dentist. So this girl is like supposed to be an alien, apparently. She kind of looks like a cat, but they like drew stuff on her face that, I don't know. She's doing this thing to Tony Schiavone, like this nose thing. It's some communication. Why? Like, what? Anyway, Chris Stantler wins. Rio looks really nervous because she has to wrestle an alien. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so there is another character on this show. We've got gots and we've got aliens. Great. So then you've got Brandi Rhodes coming down to the ring. She interrupts. And she does another cringy promo. And then you've got Chris Stantler doing, looking like she's trying to offer her to join the Nightmare Collective, which is their name. And she does the thing like she did to Tony Schiavone. She does this, touches her nose, and then does this to Brandi Rhodes. And so she refuses the offer. Stimulating television. Like, what? Like, and the funny thing is, like, my main complaint also about Nightmare Collective, besides the cringe factor, I like Awesome Kong. Like, she's an intimidating... I don't think I stressed that enough, but like I've said that in the past, so it doesn't need to be said. But by her being there with Brandi Rhodes and Brandi Rhodes trying to steal the spotlight, like, isn't she supposed to be the manager? There were great managers, like Bobby the Brain... I'm sorry, Bobby. I don't even mean to say Bobby the Brain Heenan. The late, great Bobby the Brain Heenan's name in the same sentence as that hack Brandi Rhodes. So I apologize to Bobby Heenan and the fans of Bobby Heenan, including myself, for even doing that. But I'm trying to make a point here. Great managers of yesteryear, were great and they stood out and you remember them. But they never really overshadowed, because they were so good at what they did in their craft. They never overshadowed the wrestlers that they managed. Somehow, Brandi Rhodes, of course, the professional, the vice president, the chief brand officer. That's her actual title. The chief brand officer. She's the same thing as Stephanie McMahon. It's even the same title. Like, no, we're not copying WWE. Yes, you are. Okay. So, she is overshadowing one of the stars. Leave it to Brandi Rhodes to be like the only one in history to do that. Because somehow, when you take a hack that doesn't know what they're doing, of course, things are not going to work out the way they normally do when you have true pros in those roles. Ooh, that rhymes. I like that. Backstage, we've got Tully Blanchard talking with Shawn Spears, who can't even get on the show to have a match or a meaningful promo because the matches are just going too long on this show, and there's too much great material like Brandi Rhodes to spare. So, you can't... Shawn Spears, the chairman, the guy who hit, Cody Rhodes with the chair, and that basically went nowhere. Now the guy is giving up on being a singles wrestler. He's telling Tully there's money to be made in the tag division. Code name, code word, that is the euphemism for I have failed as a singles wrestler. They have nothing for me. Cody Rhodes and the Omega and the Young Bucks and Tony Khan have nothing for me to do on this show. So now I'm back to being as meaningless as I was in the WWE as the Perfect 10. And now I've got to be relegated to that sorry, forsaken tag division. So there you go. There's Shawn Spears for you. And Tully Blanchard is saying he's going to find him someone of the quality of Arn Anderson, or the connection, at least, that he had with Arn Anderson. Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath for anyone that's like Arn Anderson to be tagging with Shawn Spears. SCU defeated the Young Bucks, and even like AEW is acknowledging on social media that the Young Bucks have lost a lot. I don't get it. Like, you know they're losing a lot, so why are you having them lose a lot? That makes no sense. Anyway, another big spot fest. No one cares. But the one thing that needs to be talked about is this hilariously bad ending to the show. So all of a sudden, they got this bright idea that the Dark Order could go from 2 guys to like 16 guys. And all of a sudden, we've got an aces and eights deal on our hands. Remember like aces and eights, like just how cringy it got after a while back in TNA, back in Impact Wrestling, like 2012 or so. This is worse than that. I only need to see it like one full time to see how bad it is. So you've got these guys storming into the ring. That guy, Evil Uno comes out, and like all of a sudden this guy like found his voice and he starts cutting a promo. It just doesn't sound good at all. So there's like now like a whole bunch of members swarming the ring. They come in, they start attacking SCU and the Young Bucks. Then Cody Rhodes and Dustin run in. And like I think they acknowledge that like Adam Page was like nowhere to be found. So like who cares? Like that's the last thing on my mind when I'm seeing this. But like okay, so some guys then run in who have like no masks, and then they get masks, but I don't even know who they are. Like, and they say their names like really quick and like. Okay, I'm supposed to like this? Like, who are these people? Why do they assume that we know who indie nobodies are on this show? And then they wonder why people are tuning out in droves. Like, why am I excited about these guys? Who are they? Who are these people? I don't know. You tell me. Like who are these people? I don't. I couldn't even fathom who they are. But, the announcers told me, they told you who they were, Brad. You're not listening to the commentary. Yeah, but who are they? Like, honestly, do I have to look them up online to find who they are? They looked like nobodies. They looked like everybody else on the show. The guy with long hair and the guy with the beard. Wow. This other guy, the guy with the beard is totally not trying to look like Eric Young. And the other guy, I don't know, he just looks totally generic. Anyway, let's talk about this beatdown and just how bad these punches looked and these stomps and these kicks. It just looked awful. I will say it was basically on par, if not worse, than with remember when they had Undisputed Era coming out, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, all those guys from NXT. Remember when they did the Invasion? And on Raw and SmackDown, you had this stupidity. We had that, but except like these punches weren't even landing. Like they were whoa, like totally like just wild punches. Looked even worse. Well, I mean, it would kind of be hard for it to be worse than the Undisputed Era stuff, but it was pretty bad. So we'll just say that this is like. I feel like this is take number 73 from another like promotion trying to do the corporate ministry, but it came off looking like a budget aces and eights, and like so let's count now. So this is gothic stuff. So we've got the Nightmare Collective, we've got the Dark Order, and we got Darby Allen. They're all goth characters. So now we have like 30 goth characters on the show. Okay, so, the New Order counts as one group. But still, like, I mean, does anyone see the disproportionality of the show here? And, like, how terrible this looks? And just how downright boring this whole thing was? I mean, everything on this show is a spot fest. It's a cringe fest. It's a total nightmare collective. You see like what I did there? I mean, if I have to hear Brandi Rhodes and her like trying to talk astute goth voice, I mean, like, get that stuff out of here. Holy cannoli. Like, and the Jungle Boy stuff. I mean, holy cow. Like, just what are they doing in this company? Like, why are they obsessed with, like, hey, let's push this guy. Hey, let's push it. Like, what are they doing? It's like total, like, ADHD type of stuff. Like, you can't even concentrate on one thing. You're moving from one guy to the other. You can't even preserve the integrity of your own champion. You're so disorganized. This is what happens when you have goofballs running the company, when you have people that are overrated running the company. Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega. And you've got someone like Tony Khan, who's just a mark, just a billionaire mark, who's using his dad's money to, like, you know, to basically get himself over and be one of the boys. And look how well it's working out with this horrible, terrible show. So there you go, guys. I hope you all enjoyed your Dynamite review. It certainly wasn't dynamite. It was dynamite as in like an explosion. Like it was a colossal disaster, basically. It would be almost like if real dynamite went off in real life. It would cause destruction. It caused destruction to my brain cells, you know, if not worse. And so anyway, you know, click the bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. If you want to see more great, you know, anti-AEW stuff and hitting them where it hurts, check out Burying the Smarks over on Instagram. I'm sure he'd appreciate that. And guys, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.